Hello writers, or should I say hello artists, because in this video we're going to be talking about how to know if an MFA is right for you, and it feels like that's something that should apply regardless of whether you're doing creative writing or visual art or dance or set design or whatever. So as usual, I'll be focusing on writers, but I really feel like this can apply across the board. So, is an MFA in creative writing right for you? I received my MFA 3 years ago now, which is crazy to think about, and I don't regret it for 1 second. But an MFA is not for everyone, and there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to deciding whether or not you're going to pursue an MFA. Like, should I do a PhD or an MFA? Or is an MFA really going to benefit my career, whether professional or creative? So there's different questions like that that are good to consider before you really take that big leap into the MFA. But we're going to step back and look at two questions that can really help you decide if an MFA is really what you want to do, really the right fit for who you are as a person and as an artist. And these are two questions, pieces of advice, considerations that I've picked up through the years. The first one I actually heard when I was 17, I think. Back then, I was not a writer at all. I was a musician, and I thought music was what I was going to do for my career. And I remember driving in the car with my piano teacher. I have no idea why we were driving in the car together. Maybe we were going to some kind of rehearsal or something. But we were in the car, and he was talking to me about my future plans, and I was talking about wanting to study music composition. And he said something that really made me uncomfortable, but it was really important for me to hear. And I think it's important for all artists to think about this. So he said something like, if music is what you want to do for your career, then great, go for it. But if there is anything else that you'd be happy doing, do that instead. And he said that because, if you want to pursue a career in music or writing or any kind of more artistic endeavor, it's not really the easiest route to go. So if you are just looking for a career where you can make money, then art isn't really your first option. If you're interested in building wealth and getting money, then go be a doctor, lawyer, accountant, dentist, something like that. But if your primary goal is to be an artist and that's what you feel like you really want to do with your life, then go for it. And I think the same applies to the MFA. So if you have any other options, if there's anything else that would make you happy, I'd recommend doing that instead. Unless you just have time and money to kill and want to do it for fun. But if this is if the MFA is going to be a pivotal moment for you in your professional and creative trajectory, then really make sure that that is what you want to do and that you understand why you want to do it, that it's not for the money, because again, there's way easier ways to make money, but it's that you want to learn how to be a better artist. So that's number one. And for me, the answer ended up being that, music was not the thing that I wanted to do. It was writing. And so I was able to say, yes, this is my thing. This is what I want to do. Actually, years ago when I finished my associate's degree, I was about to transfer to a bigger university. I had to pick a major, and I looked through the entire catalog of majors, of degrees, and the only one that stood out to me was English with a concentration in creative writing. And so that's what I chose. For me, there wasn't really another option that would make me happy. So that's what I did. And like my bachelor's degree, the same thing proved true when I was looking at master's degrees. I was aware of the MFA for a long time, and I wasn't really sure, but there wasn't really anything else that I wanted to do. It's not like I wanted to suddenly pivot and go do business or something. But after a while and some consideration, I was like, yeah, the MFA is the one master's degree that I want to go get. Okay, so the second question or consideration I have for you is something that comes from the book Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. It's a great book about writing. If you haven't checked it out, you should. It's really good. And in there, she talks about working with her writing students and seeing something really interesting. There were those students who really wanted to write and enjoyed writing, and those that just kind of wanted to be published and kind of wanted to have their name out there in print. And if that's all you want, then there's kind of a problem, because there's a whole lot of work you have to do to get to that point. And really the end goal of writing, I would argue, isn't really to be published. It's the self-fulfillment and the enjoyment and the learning experience that comes through that writing process. And then the publication part is just an extra bit of validation, an extra bit of icing on the cake. So I would ask you, this is kind of the same thing. Do you enjoy writing, or do you just want to have written a book? Do you see what I'm saying? Writing is a lot of work. An MFA is a lot of work. If you enjoy that work, then go for it. Go get an MFA. But if you're just hoping to one day be a bestseller and you hope to get from here to there magically without slogging through years of workshops and revisions and all that kind of stuff, then I don't think an MFA is for you. But if you enjoy that process, if you enjoy workshopping, if you enjoy writing and revising and spending time with your notebook or your Word document or however you create your work, then I would say go for an MFA. And a good way to really know for sure where you stand on this, think about your life right now, pre-MFA. What are you doing with your spare time? If you're just kind of killing time doing things that are not writing and saying, I'm going to write when I get to my MFA, then I would suggest maybe it's not for you. But if you are already doing it, if you're already writing, if you're already doing the process, the creative process, and enjoying the creative process, then the MFA will just be kind of the next stepping stone in that process for you. So think about your life, think about where you are, what you like to do. I've had classmates in undergrad and graduate school who really only wrote creatively when there was an assignment to do so, when they were given a deadline, and that is a red flag for me. I'm like, are you sure you're doing what you want to do? I don't think you should have someone telling you, requiring you to do creative writing before you start doing it. You should just start doing it. And if you start doing it and you like it and you build a habit of it and decide you want to continue doing that, then yes, by all means, go and get an MFA. Okay, 2 final thoughts. First is I want to know what you think. What are some things you think people need to consider before they decide whether or not they want to do an MFA? Lastly, if you decide, heck yeah, I'm going to do an MFA, I want to get my creative writing sample put together, then check out my link below to my Fiverr account and send me a message. I have a whole gig set up there just for people putting their MFA samples together. I workshop with people to help them get prepared and to help them understand the strengths and weaknesses of their samples, to know how they might stand against the competition when it comes to MFA applications. So no pressure, but if you're interested in checking that out, I would love to chat with you through Fiverr and maybe work with you on workshopping and editing your sample. Okay, so I think that just about covers it. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.